Thank you, and I guess good afternoon to everyone. I'm chatting to you from sunny Florida, so it's about 9:30 in the morning here, and I hope you are enjoying lockdown as much as we are over in Florida. Good news is our beaches are opening next week, so I'm looking forward to getting onto a beach again in a week's time. I really appreciate this opportunity to chat to everyone, and I thought what I'd do in sort of 15-20 minutes is give you a little bit of an overview. I've been in the seat now as a CEO for almost just over a year in terms of where I'm taking the company, what we've sort of accomplished in the last year, and then probably more importantly, where I see things going from a strategic roadmap perspective for financials and where we're going with the product. The one thing I want to say up front to everyone on this call, firstly, is thank you. Thank you for being customers. Thank you for continuing to give us your loyalty with the product. And, I want to assure everyone on this call, one of the things I did when I came on board was really sit down and say, Unit4 has a lot of products. What are going to be our big five? And we kind of use the analogy of the big five. I'm South African, so we understand what big five is. And Unit4 Financials is one of our big five products in terms of where we're going to put our focus, where we're going to prioritize investment, and where we're going to put our energy. So there is a future, and hopefully you're starting to see more focus on the product, more investment, and hopefully I'll share with you our vision for where we're going to take the product and enable you to go in the future. So if we look at what I set out to do when I joined and our transformation journey so far, I would say in a nutshell, when I joined Unit4, we had started to do a really good job on moving the product to the cloud, but we were very much an on-premise software company in mindset and culture, doing a little bit of cloud. And a lot of the transformation I've been driving is around becoming and behaving like a cloud company who happens to still do on-premise software as well. And there's a very big difference in how those two types of businesses are run and operated, and I'll share a little bit with you as we go through this, what that means. I also was attracted to Unit4 because of the strap line. The strap line of Unit4 is in business for people. And when you think of the marketplace, there's not a lot of software companies who focus primarily on people-based businesses with their software. Most companies with ERP focus on manufacturing-based businesses. And I think that gives us a unique position, which we're actually being recognized for, and I'll come back to that. But if you look at this slide, what we've really done in the last 12 months is, firstly, I've rebuilt the leadership team. A lot of good people who are still on the leadership team and were retained, who've been in the business for many years. And selectively, I brought in leaders who have a born in the cloud background to really create a leadership team which really knows what good looks like in the cloud. We also did a brand relaunch in October last year and repositioned the brand. We've got great internal buying into our brand. The market is now buying into our brand. Great feedback from customers. Great to get that billboard in Times Square when we launched the brand, on the news bulletin. So we've done a lot around the brand. We've been driving consistent growth in the business. So, what success today for any software company is growth. And actually in any business, if you look at the highly valued businesses in the stock markets, they're the companies that grow. So growth has become our mantra in terms of how do we grow the business. My team did an extraordinary job in Q1, despite many countries closing down. And we think we'll be pretty resilient through this period of health crisis. And that growth includes winning lots of new financials customers. So, financials is a loved product and a great product. I am a chartered accountant by profession. I've strayed off into HCM technology and into IT and software, but it's a product which is really liked in the accounting industry. And, we really are seeing growth with financials and bringing new customers on board, which is really important for the future of the product. We relaunched our kind of mantra about really being in business for people around how we treat our people as a company. And we relaunched our values. We're really trying to drive a people-first culture at Unit4 and create a pretty extraordinary working culture and people culture, because that really creates value in a software company. So a couple things which are of interest. Shortly after I joined in June last year, we introduced we have no leave caps, abolish annual leave policy. Take what you need. We trust you. As long as you get the job done, there's no leave caps. When COVID started, from the 15th of March, when we started going into lockdowns, we took, along with other software leaders, a no layoff pledge that for the first 90 days, we're not going to lay people off as a result of COVID. Performance management and that continues. We're now almost 2 months into it, and we've been able to manage the business in a way that we haven't had to lay people off in the first 90 days. And then lastly, we're doing a lot of work around what I call the cloud transformation. So we launched in October, November last year, what we called our cloud community. And, this is a really interesting concept, because I always, and I'll put a little bit of a humorous spin on this. I always joke that in the on-premise world, customers like yourselves needed to get together and create a trade union, i.e. the user group, to go beat us vendors up because we wouldn't listen, and you needed stuff in the product. Interestingly, in the cloud world, if you look at pure cloud startups, none of them have user groups, but they all have communities. So they all have very active, thriving communities. And the fundamental difference between an on-premise software model and a cloud model is the level of engagement directly and input into the roadmaps with the customers. So we set about building that at Unit4. We launched a community platform, Community for You, and we've now, in the last month, launched the financials section of community. So all of our products will have a community section, and you'll hear more today how we're launching the innovation part, where you can actually put forward suggestions for the product. It will get voted on by your peers in the community, and we'll look at that. It will become a major part of how we decide what we build and put on our roadmaps. So the community portal is really going to become the key way we engage with our customers, the single place you go to log cases, to get information, to get release notes. And we deployed that really quickly in 3 months. And we're also deploying other tools in the business which will have a positive impact on how you experience our relationship. So one of the challenges we had was we have 5 case management systems in Unit4. We had Service Cloud, we had Remedy Force, we had Jira, and a couple others I can't even remember the names of. All of that is being replaced by ServiceNow, and we go live on the 18th of May. Single platform, single system, which will run our cloud operations, all of our support cases in a very harmonized way. No handing off stuff between departments. It should be a way better experience for all of you as customers in terms of how you get support and how you experience Unit4. And then lastly, we're deploying a customer success tool called Gainsight, which is going to be focused on how do we drive your success. What is your success? How do we get you to success? Are you adopting all the features, the great features in the product? How are you using the product? So those are kind of the 3 pillars of cloud transformation, which is happening and coming. And I think will have a really positive impact for all of you as customers in terms of how you experience us. If you look at how the market is seeing us, and if we look at some of the analyst reactions, this was a recent report on the ERP market, and by a West Coast boutique research firm, Constellation, which are one of the top boutique firms run by a guy called Ray Wang. And they looked at enterprise, big enterprise, mid-size, manufacturing, product-centric ERP on the left, through to more services, people-orientated businesses, ERP on the right. And this is exactly where I see our positioning as, one of the leaders or the leader in the space when it comes to size in the mid-market for this type of ERP. And even more recently, we've had a report from Infotech Research, and this is a really significant report because unlike the Gartners and the IDCs and the Forresters of the world, where those of you who know those organizations, the way vendors enact with those organizations is in a very curated way. We choose the references, we kind of curate the stories, we curate the analyst as they produce those reports. What's unique about the Infotech report is that we have nothing to do with it. We don't even know which customers they contacted in their surveys and their assessments. We have no ability to curate it and massage it and prepare the customers for the reference calls. And if you can see this report, Unit4 was ranked as the 3rd best ERP and software in the market with some pretty significant scores, either 1, 2, or 3 in most of the categories. So that is a very, very significant report, and we're obviously really proud of that in terms of what we've accomplished. So let's talk a little bit about where we are going with our product and where we think technology is going to go, and then I'll bring it down to how does this play into Unit4 financials. So we have been working for the last, I would say, 3 years. And when I joined a year ago, I persuaded our shareholders to give us 10 million more euros to accelerate the investment in this so that we get to a point by September, October this year where all of this will be very much live, and some of it's live already, but it will be totally finished. And it's what we call our Unit4 People Experience Suite. Now, this is not a new product we're trying to push you to. This is, and this is where I think our technical guys have been somewhat brilliant in the industry, in the sense that we have figured out how to take our existing architectures and port it, migrate it into this type of world. To the point where you can see some of the content, the comments from the analysts. And what is really some of the key building blocks of what the People Experience Suite is going to have? One is this concept of smart automation services. So you can build workflow and create automatic AI-driven automation services. Second pillar is an extension kit. So you will be able to build in a low-code way extensions to the financials platform, which will interact with the platform and the data. But when financials is upgraded, the extensions won't fall over. It will all be done through clean APIs and a clean extension kit model, which will allow you to do more things and create more things. We're moving to very aggressively to conversational user experiences. We think COVID is actually going to accelerate that. If I look at my world, now my landing page is Microsoft Teams. It's no longer Outlook. On my Teams screen, I have something called Unit4 Wonder, and I can access and do different transactions interacting with our bot inside Unit4 right from my Teams landing page. So we think the world is going to go going conversational. COVID's going to accelerate it, and the people experience platform is going to bring that capability so financials customers can access it. All of this is being built in a Azure microservices architecture. So most modern architecture in terms of how software is being built, which enables us to build and you to build little things added onto the product without impacting the product, and also all in a low code kind of building tool. So that's where we're going with the people experience suite. And if we look at the next slide, what we've really been able to do is to take our core, what we call our big 5 products, and build a roadmap and journey for how they, let's say, end up fully embedded in this type of architecture and world. So from UBW, our ERP product, our HCM products, which was Intuo, our FP&A product, which was Prevero, and our financial product, Unit4 Financials, we have built now the roadmaps and the technical architecture to allow those products to sit within the people experience suite in the cloud and bring all this capability to those products. And Craig is going to talk a bit more detail around exactly what that is and the timetables for when you can start accessing some of that stuff. So if we look at what it means for you, ultimately this is where we see technology and finance technology going in the next 3 or 4 years, and that is no one's going to log in to a application anymore. No one's going to log into a financials application. You're going to be prompted, whether you're in Teams or Stack or Zoom or wherever, you're going to get prompted and informed and invited to go do work. And it will be kind of transparent to people as to what they're doing their work in, because the UI will be something like Teams or Zoom or Slack or Yammer or something like that. The monolithic code stacks we are starting to break down. So as we're moving financials into this people experience world, we will start rebuilding some of it in a more microservices architecture. So it's more componentized and it's more flexible, and it will allow us to do even more continuous releasing the way we're starting to do now, where we're not going to have a world of fixed releases. We're going to release on a much more continuous basis. Everything will be task driven, and all your actions will get triggered by analysis in the business. And of course, everything's now starting to move to the cloud. And again, this is something we see COVID is going to accelerate because we saw a lot of customers somewhat caught flat-footed because they were used to having people to go and manhandle the system in their data center or in their computer room or whatever, which you can't do in this type of environment. So we're seeing, even customers who said, well, you don't have a Microsoft Azure, we run everything on Azure, you don't have an Azure data center in our country, so we're never going to go to the cloud. They're now coming back and saying, okay, it's in the EU, we want to go to the cloud. So what we're seeing now is that the risk is trumping the focus on data residency. GDPR is all compliant because it's all EU, but the risk now is people are more concerned about overcoming the risk than they were concerned about data residency 8 weeks ago. So what does this mean if I look at it in kind of a pathways for financials customers? I think there's really two major kind of pathways, and Craig will, in his session, talk a lot more about this in detail. There's this kind of the status quo. If you're on an old version, those versions you can do some life extension support, but essentially we want to get most of our customers to a later version, which enables us to start taking you down this journey. And those old version supports are going to start ending in 2022. So 12 and 13 have ended already, 13 ended 2021, and 14 will end at the end of 22. And then there's the other pathway, which is really, consists of three sort of components. You can upgrade on premise to the latest version. There's a package to upgrade on premise with FP&A, which is our FP&A product added into it. And then you could go to the cloud with what you have on premise, and upgrade to the latest version. What you'll see as common is the need to upgrade, because we're only going to be able to build this pathway to people experience and the future for the latest version product, because you can't support it in all the old versions. And Craig will take you through what that means and the timing of what you'll be able to access. And what you'll see is that we're also trying to create a pathway for on-premise customers to start accessing some of these cloud services. Now, that's not a kind of a pipe dream. For our UBW customers, we've already created that. So an UBW customer can have a latest version on-premise, which they can link to a cloud instance of the People Experience Suite, and they can access all the tools in the People Experience Suite, which interacts with their data and on-premise deployment of UBW. So technically, we have created this. We're now looking at how can we replicate that for financials, and technically, we believe we will be able to. Right now, we can only create the connection to People Experience Suite for cloud, if you put the financials in the cloud, but we should be solving that in the next few months as well. So we've tried to create a very clear pathway so that you don't, I don't want you ever to feel you're forced to do something out of sync with your timing, your investment cycle, your commitment to the product. But I do want you to be able to start accessing all of the cool stuff which is starting to happen in the cloud, and some of the things like chatbots and extension kits, which we're making available to our customers. And that's been our philosophy around how we've thought about this, is how do we preserve your investment, don't cause big new project trauma for you, let you go at the pace you want, but start creating a pathway that you can access, some of these great things we're now building and developing, and we can get you to a future where, you're never feeling that you're sitting on old legacy stuff. You feel, you're able to avail yourself of some of the new technologies. So we've also seen, as I said, good customer traction on this, and we've had customers who have done this sort of migration already, and we can create some more of those case studies and share with this group. And obviously, Millennium's a really important partner to help do this with you and us, as we build this pathway for you. So in summary, I wanted to really, and I was really appreciative of the invitation to talk to everyone, because I really want you to take away a couple things. One is, financials is one of our big 5 products. So it gets priority, focus, investment. When we're looking at scarce resources, the big 5 take priority over anything else in Unit 4. Financials is one of them. Number 2, we have a pathway and a roadmap which will take you to a cloud world, a next-gen world, microservices, extension kits, chatbots. We are building that roadway, and we're doing it in a way that is not going to force you to rip and replace what you've got today. And lastly, we are, this isn't a pipe dream. We're doing it already. We have customers who've gone down this journey. Millennium's going to be a critical partner to help you on this roadmap. And I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your business. Thank you.